Ladies and gentlemen, I am Yusril and welcome to a look at the Lohlunat Festival, currently available in Star Trek Online until the 2nd of August. The event requires your character to be at least level 10, and, if Romulan, to have completed the mission Memory Lane. It takes place on the planet Reise, located in the Sirius sector block, the Reise sector if you hadn't already guessed, and Federation-aligned players can take the long way, as can Red Team players who have maxed out marauding. Meanwhile, those of you who've been slacking on the piracy and the unauthorised colony inspections can head straight to the sector border, where you will get a special dialogue box that will allow you to jump to Reise orbit without all that tedious mucking about in sector space. Or you could just open the journal, click on the festival's dialogue box, and then hit the button marked Transwarp. For those of you not familiar with it, Reise is the Federation's premier world for sun, sand and, well, general debauchery. On offer, among the many other entertainments, are dancing, scavenger hunts for sunshine, beaches, and a disgruntled Klingon who apparently got dragged out here by a Trill. Sounds familiar. The main attraction of the event, however, is the Risian Corvette. This is a Tier 5 escort with a heavy emphasis on speed. Rather than the usual 15 weapon power, it instead has 5 weapon power and 15 engines, along with a subspace wake generator console for added speedy goodness. The wake also inflicts a snare and hull damage to any enemies caught in it. This is a universal console, but it looks as though it'll be unique to the Corvette. We shall see, because at the moment no one that I'm aware of actually has one. To further add to the fun, the ship gains up to 15% extra defense the faster it goes, and has a 0.25 impulse modifier, making it, theoretically at least, the fastest ship available to players at the moment. Should you happen to turn into a lizard while flying this thing, remember, that episode never happened. Got it? So, how do you acquire one of these fine vessels? You acquire 1,000 Lohlunat pearls and trade them in through the Reputation tab. Fair enough, I hear you ask. How do you get the pearls? 2 ways. The first is to go to the vendor, or unlock the Reputation store via a short quest that you'll do as part of the introduction to the event, and then blow an obscene quantity of Lobi crystals. At 5 crystals for between 2 and 6 pearls, you're looking from anywhere from 835 to 2,500 Lobi to get one of these ships in a hurry. If you don't fancy burning all that currency, your alternative is the daily Flying High quest, obtained from the event coordinator on the docks at the Reise event. Surprise, surprise. This is actually pretty simple and fun, although I might change my tune somewhere around the 20th repetition. All you have to do is acquire a floater, read jetpack, then run 3 of the courses dotted around the island and return to the coordinator within 10 minutes. That gets you 40 pearls, so 25 repetitions in the 32 or so days the event still has to run will get you your Corvette with about a week's sunbathing to spare. The floaters themselves are obtained from a handy vendor in the booth next to the coordinator, or from any other vendor, including the Reputation one. You can rent a basic model for 1,000 energy credits. These last about 15 minutes and are strictly bottom of the range models. Or you can purchase permanent and, more to the point, upgraded versions with various quantities of Lohlunat favours. The speed and handling vary, as you'd expect, with the price, but provided you remember to steer into the turns, even the basic clapped-out rental model should be able to complete Flying High without too much trouble. Ah yes, Lohlunat favours. These are the other currency in play during the festival. These are principally obtained from the Dance Festival and the Quadrant Hunt events, but as with the pearls, you can trade Lobi crystals for them, although I'd have to wonder why you'd bother, given that these are extremely easy to obtain. If looking like a fool is your thing, the Dance Festival occurs at the resort on the hour and on the half hour. Match the dance moves as they're called by the NPC dance coordinator, watch the favours stack up, and your dignity drain away. At the 1/4 and 1/4 marks, the Quadrant Hunt will occur. This is basically a scavenger hunt, sending them all around the isle, so I'd seriously recommend investing in a personal floater rather than repeatedly getting the rental model. The good news is that it's not a competitive event, yet, so you won't be wasting your time if the zone happens to be crowded. If you want to keep the Horgan, it can be bought from the Rizian vendor for 100 favours, although given the meaning in Rizian culture, displaying a Horgan signifies availability. You might want to be careful where you display it. Misunderstandings of that kind can be bad, although it never seemed to cause Kirping problems. Each statue you find during the Horgan hunt will get you at least one Lohlunat favour, and there's also the possibility of getting a Rizian tropical bird egg. The eggs themselves, which can also be bought for 150 favours, are essentially a rerun of the Eppo breeding missions, with the option to either keep the birds as non-combat pets, Poly-1 a starship, or trade them in for various amounts and types of reputation mark. Needless to say, the rarer the bird, the better the payoff. Find the ornithologist NPC in the resort if you want to get those missions going. Something else worth mentioning is the Lohlunat Tribble. Yes, Reise has a tribble infestation. No, you can't invoke General Order 23, it's bad for the tourist trade. The Lohlunat Tribble results from letting any other tribble near the various kinds of Rizian food, and it gives a bonus to flight skills with the floaters, but as an extra bonus it also buffs both health regeneration and psionic resistance, so it might be worth hanging on to these in case things ever get nasty with the Undine, the Remans, or any other psionic race again. And yes, they work for Klingons. Obviously, these tribbles do have to be properly stored. In a locked box, in a stasis cell, next to an armed tricobalt mine, in an easily jettisonable part of the ship, surrounded by guards with orders to shoot first. The usual reasonable safety precautions when tribbles are on board ship. Let's see what else to tell you about. The map has a day-night cycle, which is a bit of a rarity in this game, and the NPCs will alter their behaviour based on this, which opens up some interesting possibilities for more serious missions. In addition, much like the environment suit, I expect to see the floater packs used in more serious missions as well. Any existing map would have to be completely reworked to allow their use. World of Warcraft had similar problems when they tried to retrofit flying mounts into Azeroth and Kalimdor, but it's easy enough to imagine these used to drop from a shuttle in a scenario where transporters aren't viable, and Lord knows there seem to be plenty of those in Star Trek. There are also a lot of exploration accolades and little details to find. I won't spoil those, although some are in this video, as well as various costume options that can be purchased. There's no swimwear this time around, even if the NPCs are using it, which means that this year at least we are spared the sight of male Gorn in Speedos running around First City. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I shall bid you farewell and happy sunbathing until next time. Oh, and Klingon players, please remember, no matter how bad the damage to your honour feels, participation in the dance contest is not and will never be considered grounds for Mork Tovor. Farewell.